Good day, everyone. This is the continuation of Group 1 report, and now we are moving on to 4.3, which is focuses on creating positive sports environment. Next slide, please. So today, I am going to discuss an article written by Lara Musman titled Creating Positive Sports Environment. So, in this part, Lara discussed how to create positive sports environment for developing players. So, this article also explores how coaches can go beyond just teaching sports skills, and also si Lara kay kanang ga-focus siya sa that ang coaches kay ga-help sa pag-develop sa character and well-being of the young athletes. Next, please. So, Lara Musman is currently working towards her PhD in well-being and positive psychology in football at La Trobe University in Melbourne, as well as being a regular contributor to player development projects. So Lara also teaches positive psychology at the University of Melbourne. So si Lara also focus siya sa pag-explore important. So kaning ang part is ga-focus siya sa mga football coaches na dapat coaches can play in promoting positive youth development. So traditionally, coaches focuses in improving technical and tactical. So sa traditional man kay di ba ang mga coaches kay ga-focus lang siya sa pag-teach sa mga players on how kanang mga techniques, mga tactical skills, but Lara is argues that they should also help young players grow emotionally, socially, and mentally. Next slide, please. Next slide, Dex. So, does positive youth development have a place in football coaches? So, according to Lara, she answered that yes. According to Lara Musman, positive youth development or PYD absolutely has a place in football coaching. So she argues that while coaches are often trained mainly in technical and tactical aspect of the game, they should also play a role in developing the psychological and social skill of a young athlete. So si Lara also believes na ang coaches should go beyond teaching to win or improve fitness. But, ga-focus yun sila kung unsaon sa mga coaches pag-help ma-shape ang mga young people na magkaroon sila ng confidence o respect in the specific game. So, next slide please. So according to a 2011 study from the University of Wollongong, coaches face many challenges that go beyond the game. So here are the challenges that my coaches face on beyond the game. So these lessons are part of what we call positive psychology, which is focuses on strength like optimism, perseverance, leadership, and teamwork. So, to conclude this article, Lara concludes that positive youth development absolutely belongs in football coaching. So, coaches have a powerful role in shaping not just athletes but people by combining sports training with emotional and character development. They can help young players succeed both on and off the field. So, ang mga coaching is ga-focus lang di ba siya sa winning, but dili kailangan ang article is kailangan po siya mag-focus on how to develop the young athletes or young players. So that concludes my part, and now I will give the word for core to the next reporter.
Good day, everyone. I am the next reporter. I'm Azura Sunico, and now we will talk about how can a sports team manager create a positive team environment. So we have a seven team manager create a positive team environment. Next, Miss Dexel. So the first one is communicate your vision and goals. To build a positive team environment, communicate your vision and goals clearly and consistently using channels like meetings, emails, and social media. This unifies the team, boosts motivation, and support progress tracking. So, for example, a coach explains the team's goal for the season, like make it to the finals and sets clear performance target for each game. So next one is encourage participation and feedback. So it helps create a positive team environment by involving members in in decisions, giving them responsibility and providing constructive input. This fosters ownership, empowerment, and engagement, while also helping to identify and address issues. So here's the example. So players are encouraged to share their thoughts after practice or suggest strategies during team meetings. So next is recognize and reward achievements. For the example for this is a player who shows a great effort or improvement is named as the MVP of the game. So you will acknowledge that player in front of everyone. Next. Promote teamwork and collaboration. So you need to have a teamwork and collaboration to succeed your goals. So the example for this one is team building exercise or drills not require players to work together are included in practice sessions. So encourage communication, clear rules, and mutual support to enhance trust, creativity, and overall team efficiency. Next. So the fifth one is support learning and development. So supporting your team's learning and development helps create a positive environment. This involves offering training, feedback, mentoring, and encouraging innovation. It enhances team members' skills, performance, and adaptability to change. So, for example, coaches organize special training sessions or bring in experts to help players improve their specific skills. Next. Lastly is to cultivate a positive attitude and mindset. So building a strong team environment involves promoting optimism, growth, and confidence through positivity, support, and learning from experiences. This enhances well-being, resilience, and perseverance. For example, the example for this is the team supports and supports learning from experiences. So, team starts practice with positive affirmation or ends with a reflection on what went well, even after a tough game. So, that's all for my topic. So, I will give the floor to teacher Dexa.
Good day, everyone. I am the next reporter. I am Dexel Zane Picomcon. And now let's talk about the developing a positive team culture. Balance of challenge and skills. Optimal performance occurs when challenge and skills are in balance. Too hard causes frustration and too easy causes boredom. So coaches must evaluate talent accurately to structure drills and competition for optimal development. So in here, as a coach, you have the ability to shape practices by choosing specific drills, setting performance expectation, and organizing team structure and selecting the level of competition. To create an effective balance between challenge and skills, the first step is to evaluate your team's talent. Next is understand their both strength and weaknesses. So, as a coach, you need to evaluate the strengths of your athletes. So the strength of a coach relationship with players affect how well drills and tactics work. So coaches must evaluate talent accurately to structure drills and competition for optimal development. So as a coach, dapat um, you need to give them balanced drills. So for example, coach ka, then you know na ang imong athlete is kusgan siya. So, for example, sa athletics, so kusgan siya mudagan. So, para ma-improve pa na, as a coach, you need to give them drills or challenge na level ra sa ilang strength. So, if easy lang ang ilang ihatag, so, ang mahitabo ana, ang athlete is ma-board siya or aside sa ma-board, ma-frustrate siya kay wala na challenge. So it is important to recognize not only the skills of your players have mastered, but also the point at which those skills begin to break down under pressure. So this evaluation helps in designing training session that provides just enough challenge to push athletes while still allowing them to experience success, which is essential for maintaining their confidence and motivation. The next is players to players. So players' relationship with each others influence teamwork and engagement, right? So a positive team culture is built on mutual trust, accountability, fun, and focus. So a positive team climate relies not only on coach-player relationships, right? But also on how players influence and support each other. So it is important that player can help balance challenge and skills through thoughtful grouping and shared responsibility. So, for example, structuring teams so that players of similar developmental levels compete against each other creates appropriate challenge for everyone. So, for example, na athletes, they tend na mag-practice sila with other players na same og level, right? Kay para murag maka-feel pud sila og kanang challenge bitaw sa ilang self. So, they tend na makig-compete sa usag-usa kay para ma-challenge sila then ma-test ang ilang skills. So occasionally, mixing skills level can be also beneficial. When more experienced players are grouped with novice, they can model proper techniques and offer peer instructions while younger players focus on learning the process. So also as a coach, you need to designate the players fairly, like kung kabalo ka na kabalo ning mga players ilang skills is kanang taas na or high na ang ilang level sa skills niya, then you should kanang imo bitaw silang scatter, like dili nimo iisa sa group, so dapat imo silang scatter sa lahing group. Like for example, ang mga maayo isagol siya sa mga kanang dili pa kayo maayo kay para matudloan sa maayo ang mga dili pa kabalo. So this approach maintains a healthy balance of challenge and support, fostering growth for all team members. So the last one in challenge, balance, and skills is player to environment. So clearly communicate the why of drills to help players stay focused and motivated. So use tools like whiteboards to outline plans, goals, and past achievement. So encourage a growth mindset. View failure as a necessary part of progress, not something to fear. So creating a balance between challenge and skills involved helping players see the bigger picture of their training, using tools like a whiteboard to outline practice plans, goals, and focus points allow players to understand how each drill contributes to overall performance. So it also helps track progress and set standards, motivating players through visible benchmarks. So another crucial aspect is how failure is perceived. So effective training environments treat failure as a sign of growth and risk taking, not something to be feared. So 'di ba, importante gyapon sa mga athletes or players ang environment. So kung naa sila sa fair environment, inclusive environment, so they feel na murag maganahan sila dula. Aside sa maganahan sila dula is murag maka-boost gihapon siya confidence and makakuan siya growth bitaw sa isa ka athlete. Sa for example, if ikaw ang athlete naa ka sa toxic environment, so ang kuan na nang mahitabo ana is murag mawalaan kag confidence, and also murag masakal ka, right? So it is important to foster fair and good environment. So encouraging players to push beyond their comfort zones without punishing mistakes promotes development and peak performance. So, coaches play a key role in shaping this mindset by reinforcing that failure is a natural part of learning. So, as a coach, you need to encourage your athlete to to encourage your athlete to or remind them that failure is part of their learning, right? So, let's take that failure na lesson na siya, makahelp na siya sa ato para mag-grow. Next is balance of criticism and encouragement. So, in here, feedback must be specific, not just general praise or critique, and athlete need both encouragement and constructive criticism to grow. So, sa feedback, it is very crucial siya na part, right? Kay diri ang feedback is grabe ang impact niya sa isa ka player, right? Next is coach and player. Athletes want recognition for success and specific guidance when they fall short. Positive feedback should be both for outcomes and processes. So keep a record of athletes' goals to give target meaningful feedback. So athlete, they want two key types of feedback from coaches, right? So recognition when they succeed and clear guidance on how to improve when they fail. So coaches aims to consistently offer both. So acknowledging their success even when it's obvious that it matters to players because they value their coach's approval. So as an athlete, so it is important ang mga feedback sa coach, right? Kay dako gyud kay siya impact sa athletes. Okay, ang athletes, they want feedback from coaches. For example, they want recognition for their success. Kay gihimo nila ang best, so syempre gusto po nila makadungog unsay feedback sa ilang coach, kay gipakita nila ang best. For at the same time, kung ang coach pod, if maghatag sila og feedback, they also need to remind themselves na dili tanan athletes or players is same og ginabati. For example, kung ikaw ang coach, nya harsh kay ka maghatag og feedback, so ang na mahitabo is ang athlete or ang players is murag ma-take niya as negative. So it is important when you're a coach, you need to understand that not all players same og kanang pag-take sa feedback. There are players na i-take nila as negative, pero sa imuha is positive siya para makahelp na mag-grow sila. Pero some other players, they take it as a positive feedback. So, to deliver quick, effective feedback, the coaching staff using short, well-defined cues introducing their prison training. So, combining instructional and motivational feedback helps athlete understand what led to success. So, additionally, coaches should monitor each player's emotional gas tank. So, just like what I've said, dili tanan players is same og kanang ginabati kung mag-take og feedback, sometimes necessary. It should be backed by consistent encouragement to maintain motivation and confidence. So as a coach, when you're giving a feedback, you need to also give them an encouragement and motivation to boost their confidence. Next is player to player. So athletes may receive criticism better from teammates than coaches. So cultivating a team culture with no rigid hierarchy encourage open peer feedback. So, di ba, sometimes players mas ganahan sila na makadungog og feedback sa other players. Kay murag makaboost sa ilang confident, right? Sometimes, for example, ako, di mo ko athlete, pero for example lang ha, if ako basketball player ko, then nagdula, then di ba maghatag man nag-feedback ang coach, pero murag mas makaboost ako og confident if na other players sa for example sige player sa kalaban naghatag og feedback sa ako na wow nice imong dula, nice imong mga strategy. So syempre ako as an athlete mag-boost gid akong confident na like ay okay, I did my best. So players often respond better to peer feedback than to coaches feedback. So as it can feel more supportive and less intimidating. Unlike sa coach, kay syempre coach murag medyo stricto. Some coach magod murag stricto ang pagka-deliver and some is okay lang. So ang players murag maka-find sila comfort sa feedback sa mga kanila sa amilang mga ka players nila gihapon unlike sa coach. So building a team culture where all voices are valued regardless of seniority, encourage open communication and mutual respect. So for for example, during blocking drills, so peer evaluate and communicate key elements of techniques. So ang players if mag-practice mo drills, syempre maghatag sila og feedback if mali or tama ang imong gina-practice. So ikaw pod as a player murag ma-motivate pud ka na ay okay ingani day ang akong buhaton ingani di ay kay according to okay ka nang mali daw to pero okay ra daw siya pero naapoy uban na ang coach is dili pud mag-agree pero just like what I've said ang some player is mas better na mas ganahan sila na makadungog og feedback sa other players. So these systems strengthen trust, accountability, and motivation among teammates. So the last one is player to environment. So visual feedbacks like using video apps like BAM Video Delay helps athletes self-correct and experiment. So match footage can highlight both strength and areas for improvement. Occasionally focusing on only positive clips can boost confidence, but athletes must also learn from mistakes. So in here, as a coach, you need also to use visual feedback like videos, right? So, for example, in track and field, sa track and field, if mag-play na, ikaw ang coach, kung gid sila og kanang photo op or video, right? Gagamit sila og phone na i-video para makita ang highlight bitaw sa dula if makita nila if sakto ba or mali or naay kanang need i-improve. So video feedback is a powerful tool for building athletes' motivation, confidence, and effort. So many athletes are visual learners and benefit from seeing their own performance. So some athletes magod if videohan sila, pag makita nila ang video is maganahan sila, maboost silang confident like ay okay nice man siya sa video pero murag mas i-improve pa nako ang akong gina-perform. So tools like video delay app allow athletes to watch their movements immediately after a drill, helping them identify both strength and areas for improvement while encouraging experiment with techniques. So match footage can also be used strategically to highlight specific game aspects such as block timing or set positioning, depending on the camera angle, while showing only successful clips can boost confidence before key matches. So it is important also to review the mistakes to promote learning and growth through constructive reflection. So overall, to compact my topic, creating a positive team culture requires a balance between various opposing forces, challenge and skills, criticism and encouragement, trust and accountability. So the foundation of a successful teams lies in strong relationships between coaches and players. So among players themselves and overall training environment. So coaches plays a vital role in shaping these dynamics to maintain motivation, foster growth, and develop peak performance. So, a positive team climate is one in which athletes improve their ability and learn more about their potential. The feedback they receive from their coaches, each other, and the environment contributes to both of these objectives, telling players what they do well, although positive does not help them maximize their skills. So I hope you learned something from my topic, and now I will give the floor to the next reporter.
All right, so hello everyone. I am Sherwin Garduki, and now I'll be discussing the governance in the sociocultural role of sports. Next slide, please. Slide mo klaro, isa lang. Okay. So, okay, now sports play a very important role in society. It is not just about competition or entertainment. Sports promotes health, education, unity, discipline, and peace. It also brings people together and give both individuals and communities a chance to grow. So sports gives people no, it brings people together and give a chance to grow. No, however, sports also has its challenges. No? There are issues such as cheating, harassment, corruptions, no, and even violence are seen at different level of sports. No, and these problems can may often come from the maybe from the pressure to win the game, di ba? Especially if the game kay na siya cash prize, di ba? So kailangan kita maning kamot kay para maka-earn tag money, no? And that is why sports governance is very important. Well, now what is governance? No. So governance refers to the system, rules, and policies that manage and protect the value of sports. No, it helps to maintain fairness, safety, and also integrity in the game, no, or in the sports. Right now, it is important to remember that sports is not only for professional athletes or the Olympic players, no, because sports can include everyone, no, even if you are a students, even if you are children or adults, no, and even elderly people or old people playing for health or for fun, no, for recreational lang siya. And now, sports has expanded into new forms like what, no, like esports and also ng mga online streamings, di ba? And now, while this creates new opportunities, it is also expose athletes into negative things, di ba? And like kanang mga abuse through online and even scandals, di ba? Kuan gyapon na. And so that is why governance should cover all level of sports, no, from elite to everyday and community games. No? Because with proper rules and leadership, sports can remain safe and fair and also inclusive for everyone. Next slide, next please. Alright, so what is sports? No, halos naman siguro sa tatanan kabalo man sa sports, right? And now let's talk about the meaning of sports. Next slide, next. Right, so sports can be defined in many ways. No, there are the in the narrow sense and the broader sense. So, in a narrow sense, sports means physical activities that are competitive, follow rules, and are usually part of an organization, no? Like basketball, volleyball, or swimming. No? And but in broader sense, it means sports can also include non-competitive or informal activities that help improve uh, mental well-being or social interactions, no? Such as recreational sports, traditional and cultural games, mind sports like chess, no, and even esports. Ba? And next slide. So the word sports come from the Latin word disporto, meaning to enjoy or divert oneself. So at its core, sports is about fun, movement, and connection. So next. Now let's talk about the spectrum of the ecosystem of sports. So, sports ecosystem can be divided into four main segments. No, so the first core is the core segment. Now, I mean, the first segment is the core segment, right? And now, this includes all the sports activities and programs like games, trainings, and competitions. No? And the second segment is the support segment. These are the people who are directly and indirectly involved, no? Kanang nasa which is in the on field, no? Kanang mga players, spectators, and referees. And also in the off field, which is the organizers, coaches, leaders, sponsors, and agencies. Next. Next slide. Okay, so the third segment is the balik. Right. So the third segment is the sport industry and resource sectors. Now this part includes facilities, human resources, sports services, equipment, merchandise, media, and sports technologies. And the last segment is the augmented segment. Now this covers governance, law, policies, leadership, and education. No? It also includes sports rules, sports studies, training, and coaching programs. Now all now discover no now all of these parts works together to help sports grow and function well. No, every match or tournament or sports event involves many people and systems behind this scene. And next slide, please. Dili makita isa lang. Wait. Okay. Now let's talk about the sports pyramid. Now the next slide, Dex. Right now, the sports pyramid is a model that shows the different level of participation in sports, from basic play to professional competition. Now there are levels. No, there are 5 levels in the pyramid. So first is the next slide, Dex. Okay, first is the foundation level. No, this is where the children start playing and learning basic physical skills. And next is the recreational level. It is where the family and community do their sports for fun or for their health or banding. No, and next is the school institution or institutional. No, it is an organized sports at school or club level. No, so for example kanang mga intrams or palaro. Next slide, Dex. Right. So the fourth one is the elite amateur level. So kani siya, this is where the athletes nga ga-compete sa regional or national events kana mga pabansa, no? And last is the professional level. No, it is the athletes that plays in international or commercial leagues. So kanang mga kortahan nga abroad. And yeah, this pyramid shows how athletes can progress through levels, but not everyone reach the top. No, in fact, most people stay in the lower levels for fun, fitness, or personal growth. And yeah, and that's totally okay. And that's I think that's it for my report. And may I give the floor to the next reporter.
So right now we'll be talking about the sports culture and sociological issues. Now, in sport culture as a social phenomenon. Next slide, please. So, sport culture shapes the identity, values, and social behavior. It reflects shared traditions and promotes unity, discipline, and personal growth. Now, in sports, it's not just about playing games. It's a big part of our culture and society, and it teaches people how to work together, follow the rules, and respect others. The way people act in sports often shows that they value in life like teamwork, fairness, and discipline. That's why sports can help a person's character and attitude. Next slide, please. So, culture in sports. Is influenced by social norms and cultural practices. It includes both physical elements, venue, and values, beliefs, and attitude. And in social cultural sports, every sport is connected to the culture of the people who play it. This includes how they dress and what they believe in and how they behave. For example, in the Philippines, traditional games like sipa and patintero are more than just fun. They also teach teamwork and strategy and the Filipino values. The sport reflects the way of life and community, and it helps brings people together. Next slide, please. In social culture in sports ecosystem and sports pyramid. Cultural values exist across all levels from pro sports, impacting how sports are experienced, supported, and governed. Now, in sports, there are different levels from kids playing in the community to professional athletes on the world stage. Each level has its own set of values and social lessons. At the lower levels, it's about fun and learning. At sa higher levels naman, things like fame and money became involved. That's where good values and guidance are needed to keep sports meaningful and positive. Now, lastly, we have the sociological issues in the sports ecosystem and sports pyramid. So as people move up in sports, from playing for fun to becoming professional athletes, different problem can happen. At the beginners level, it most likely about learning and having fun, but as competition gets more serious, like cheating, using illegal drugs to win, discrimination, and even violence can appear. These problems don't just affect players, they also affect coaches, fans, sponsors, and the whole sports community. That's why it is important to have a good rules, education, and strong values to keep sports fair, safe, and respectful for each and everyone. Now that will be my part. I'll give the floor to the next teacher.
Okay, so good day everyone. I am Justin Marie M. Leones and I will be your next reporter. So let's proceed to the next topic, which is the governance. Okay, so when we say governance, it talks about it involves setting clear plans and rules, choosing top leaders, and checking if everything is working well. So, governance means providing leadership, making decisions, and also guiding how an organization works every day. So when we say sports organizations, both international and national, follows a constitution and rules that help them manage events, supports athletes, and ensure everything is fair and organized. So governance in sports is a about protecting the players' rights, promoting health, and also supporting national pride, and of course helping with the country's growth. The importance of it is to create some basic guidelines to keep things positive and fair for everyone. So next slide, please. Next is the social culture in sport governance structure. So this makes sports rules more complicated and strict, and it can take away the fun and enjoyment that sports used to bring. When sports become professional, they include leagues and competitions, which can be also lead to people being left out and others gaining power over money. But however, culture plays a big role in shaping how people act and think in sports. The culture helps guides behavior and also keeps people connected even when the system becomes unfair. The right to play sports is supported by many international laws and agreements, but it is still not always given enough attention. But to bring back a positive sports culture, good governance needs to start from the grassroots, like the schools, and the community programs. In many cases, the focus is more on business and winning than on values like fairness and respect. So let's say, for example, in some doping cases, athletes were protected while leaders were not held accountable. This shows that ethics are often ignored. So strong laws, not just suggestions, should be made to make sure that good governance and true sports culture are respected and followed by everyone involved in that specific sports. Next slide, please. Next slide, Miss Kumukon. Next is the legislation and policies promoting sports social culture. So there are various international regulation and policies shape the conduct of sports organizations. So these frameworks ensure that sports are practiced with integrity, fairness, and alignment with culture and developmental goals. So first is the Federation Internationale do Sports, or the FISPT. So this framework advocates for sports for all, emphasizing the role of sports in culture enrichment, education, and improving quality of life for all, regardless of age, gender, and background. So next slide, please. Next slide, Miss Kumkon. So the next framework is the World Anti-Doping Agency or WADA. So this framework is anti-doping code aims to ensure clean, ethical sports and educates athletes and the public to uphold these values through preventive strategies. Next is the UNESCO's Declaration of Berlin 2013. Um, This framework it emphasizes the importance of investing in physical education and calls for ethical governance and integrity in sports, reinforcing its culture and developmental significance. So the next framework is the Council of Europe 2018. So as a pioneering intergovernmental body in sports governance, the Council promotes participation, health, and ethical values. So these frameworks, its resolutions, stress the integration of good governance principles into national and local sports policies. Next slide, please. So next is the IOC Basic Universal Principles. These frameworks aligns with the European and UNESCO Declaration in promoting youth education and ethical conduct through sports. Next slide, please. Next is the International Sports and Culture Association or the ISCA. So this defines good governance as setting strategic direction, managing risk, and ensuring transparency and accountability. These frameworks emphasizes on inclusivity and democracy, supports sustainable sports development, and reinforces sports culture. Next is the EU Expert Group on Good Governance 2013. This group frames governance as both structure and culture, highlighting stakeholder engagement, performance monitoring, and also accountability. So these frameworks, it warns that neglecting good governance can threaten the autonomy of sports organizations. So the last framework is the international sports policy gaps. So despite of the existence of these frameworks, international sports policies can lack clarity due to some like varying national interest and non binding commitments. Bodies like UNESCO's CIGEPS and the Commonwealth Sports for Development Unit promote collaboration, but also the implementation varies globally. Okay, so that is for my report. I will give now the to the next reporter.
Okay, hello everyone. I am Erfit Malapad. To continue Miss Leonie's topic, let's proceed to the next one, which is 7.5, inclusion of values and ethic in sports. So the inclusion of values and ethic in sports governance refers to the integration of principles like fairness, integrity, respect, and accountability into how sports are managed and run in the context of elite high performance and professional sports. These values are upheld through established rules and regulation that guide the conduct of athletes, coaches, and organization. So these formal rules are designed to ensure that competition is fair. Fair winners are determined based on merit and that everyone is involved, especially athletes and stakeholders, can trust the system. For example, anti-doping rules, fair play policies, and codes of conduct are all parts of ethical sports governance. This not only protect the integrity of the sports but also ensure that economic rewards like sponsorships and prize money are distributed justly and based on honest competition. Next, please. So, sport should begin as a fun and meaningful activity that helps individuals learn, grow, and enjoy themselves. It should build skills and values like passion, love, adventures, challenge, and excitement, and self-esteem. Sum up by the acronym PLACES, the qualities are make sports both enjoyable and personal fulfilling. Next, please. So, this statement means that certain aspects of sports, such as attitude, values, behaviors, enjoyment, and personal development, are intangible and subjective. These are not like rules for scoring or equipment standards that can be clearly defined and enforced by a governing body. Instead, they deal with how people feel, interact, and grow through sports, which can vary from person to person because of their subjective nature. This aspect cannot be effectively managed through strict rules and regulation. Instead, they must be um, nurtured and guided indirectly through the way sports programs are designed and delivered. For example, by creating inclusive, respect, and supportive sports environments. Coaches and educators can promote values like teamwork, respect, and self confidence without needing formal laws to enforce them. So, next, please. According to Coulter 2016, before we can measure the impact of sports like personal growth or social development, we need to first identify and understand the specific characteristic of those outcomes. So this means exploring that exactly we're trying to measure like confidence, teamwork, discipline before applying and general tools or evaluation methods. Mahoney and Statin discovered that when your people participate in structured activities like organized sports or supervised program, it can reduce the likelihood of them engaging in harmful behaviors such as drug use, violence, or risky sexual activities. These types of activities provide positive environment, structure, and adult guidance, which help youth develop self-discipline, social skills, and a sense of purpose. Next, please. So the conclusion about establishing governance and sport social culture through education refers to how international policies have integrated physical activity, education, and children's rights. So the Declaration on Rights of the Child 1959 was foundation document that recognized the importance of physical activity and education for children. This declaration highlights that children have the right to engage in activities that support their overall development, including the physical education. By linking physical activity with education, it emphasizes the role of sports and movement in children's well-being and growth, not just for physical health, but also for social, emotional, and intellectual development. And also building on this International Charter of Physical Education and Sports in 1978, further expanded the idea created the Quality of Physical Education guidelines for policymakers in the same year. These guidelines aim to help governments and decision makers improve the quality and delivery of PE in schools. They provide a framework to ensure that PE is inclusive, engaging, and beneficial for student physical, mental, and social development. Next, please. According to Dilu and Hinzi 2021, sport education should go beyond just teaching students. It should also involve effort to educate and engage key influencers like parents, coaches, teachers, and healthcare providers. So this group play an important role in shaping young people's attitude and participation in sport. By launching awareness campaigns, the goal is to help the stakeholders better understanding the positive impact of sports, not only of physical health, but also on academic performance. When this group recognize the benefit, they are more likely to support encourage children's environment and sports activities both inside and outside of school. Next, please. So this statement, a sociocultural aspect of sports such as values, behaviors, traditions, and attitudes are often personal, subjective, and vary widely across communities and cultures. Because of this, the governance or management of this aspect should not rely on strict or inflexible rules. Unlike the technical aspect of sports like game rules or safety regulation, sociocultural elements involve human behavior and social interaction, which can change over time and differ between groups. Therefore, using laws or legislation might not be effective or appropriate in addressing this dynamic context depend issues. So instead, the governance of social cultural sensitivity and case by case consideration. This approach helps create a more inclusive and respectful sport environment that responds well to diverse needs involving social norms. Next, please. So there are two dimensions of sports. First is the elite and professional high performer context. This focuses on competition and achievement. It is governed by strict rules, formal structures, and external authorities like organization and government bodies. The main goals are to win medals, gain titles, and earn financial rewards. Athletes are trained intensively through coaching, and environment is highly regulated to ensure that fairness and safety and performance. Everything is measurable and resulted oriented. On the other hand, the cultural and development context of sport is centered on will well-being, and personal growth. It uses our more flexible and adaptable form of governance instead of strict rules. It values behavior, enjoyment, and social interaction. This type of sport is often seen in school and communities where they aim to develop life skills, promote health, and empower individuals. Outcomes are intangible like confidence, teamwork, and self-esteem, and governance is often self-regulated rather than enforced by outstanding bodies. So next, please. Ay, siya. So, in conclusion, the chapter emphasizes that sport should not be limited to competition and commercialized entertainment, but recognized for its deeper social, cultural and development rules. Governance plays a vital role in maintaining the integrity of sports not only through laws and regulation, but also by promoting ethical values, inclusivity, and community well-being. To support a sustainable and inclusive sports development, a dual approach of necessary, one that includes governance for elite in sports and other that relies on education, enculturation, and values formation for development and social cultural sports. So that concludes our topic. Thank you everyone for listening.